gotten general reports, but we don't know all the specifics. We got general reports in the run-up to the Iraq War that proved erroneous, and a lot of people voted for that war as a consequence. Now, we are a stalwart ally of Israel, and I think it is important to understand that we will back them up in terms of their security. But it is critical to understand that until we have taken the diplomatic routes that are required to tighten economic sanctions, I have a plan right now to make sure that private pension funds in this country can divest from their holdings in Iran. Until we have gathered the international community to put the squeeze on Iran economically, then we shouldn't be having conversations about attacks in Iran. And I think what Mayor Giuliani said was irresponsible, because we have not yet come to that point. We have not tried the other approach.
So you would not offer a promise to the American people, like Giuliani, that Iran will not be able to develop and become a nuclear power?
I make an absolute commitment that we will do everything we need to do to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons. One of the things we have to try, though, is to talk directly to Iran, something that we have not been doing. And one of the disagreements that we have on this stage is the degree to which the next president is going to have to engage in the sort of personal diplomacy that can bring about a new era in the region. And that means talking to everybody. We've got to talk to our enemies and not just our friends.
Senator Edwards, would the Israelis be justified in launching an attack if they felt their security was threatened by a nuclear presence in Iran?
Well, let me say, first of all, I think there's a clear responsible course for America with respect to Iran, and that responsible course is to recognize that Ahmadinejad is unpopular in his own country. And if we work with our friends in Europe and the European banking system, we can put a clear proposal on the table for the Iranian people, sticks and carrots. Carrots being, we will help you with your economy if in fact you give up your nuclear ambitions. The flip side being, there will be severe economic sanctions if you don't. But I want to come back to a discussion that took place a few minutes ago to make sure everyone understands what Senator Gravel was talking about and Senator Clinton was talking about. Because there was a very important vote cast in the United States Senate today. And it was basically in a resolution calling the Iranian Revolutionary Guard a terrorist organization. I voted for this war in Iraq. And I was wrong to vote for this war. And I accept responsibility for that. Senator Clinton also voted for this war. We learned a very different lesson from that. I have no intention of giving George Bush the authority to take the first step on a road to war with Iran. And I think that vote today, which Senator Biden and Senator Dodd voted against, and they were correct to vote against it, is a clear indication of the approach that all of us would take with the situation in Iran, because what I learned in my vote on Iraq was you cannot give this president the authority, and you can't even give him the first step in that authority, because he cannot be trusted. And that resolution that was voted on today was a very clear indication of that.
Governor Richardson, would you make a solemn commitment to the American people that Iran will not become a nuclear power?
Yes, and this is what I would do. I would approach it through diplomacy. A fundamental goal of our foreign policy should be not to permit Iran to develop nuclear weapons. Another cornerstone of our foreign policy should be the strength and the security of Israel. So you cannot deny a nation the right to legitimately defend itself. Now, my approach is different. By the way, talking about diplomacy, I've talked to a lot of these bad guys already. So I would have a head start in personal diplomacy. You have to approach Iran. First of all, you use diplomacy. Then you use sanctions. The problem that we have with Iran is that we don't build the international support that is needed to put economic pressure on Iran. And my point here is that Iran is susceptible to economic pressure. It can do so through, they import half of their foodstuffs, half of their gasoline. They've got domestic unrest. I would not talk necessarily to Ahmadinejad. I would talk to moderate clerics. I would talk to business leaders. But 40% of the Iranian people vote for moderate candidates for president. So you first use diplomacy. The problem, Tim, is we can't build the international support with the Europeans, with Russia that has leverage on Iran, to effectively pressure them not to build nuclear weapons and to stop messing around in Iran. But it's called diplomacy. It's called negotiation. It's called talking to Iran and Syria and trying to work out differences.
But the issue you may have to confront as president, Israel took out a nuclear reactor in Iraq. They attacked Syria. They may conclude they need to attack Iran. If they did, and you were president, would you support Israel?
A fundamental tenet of American foreign policy is to support Israel. But Tim, you've got to bring diplomacy. The problem in the Middle East is there is no Middle East peace process. There is no Middle East peace envoy. We don't talk to Syria. You've got Israel today less safe than it ever was. You've got Hamas on one side. You've got Hezbollah. You've got Iran wanting to build nuclear weapons. But you do it through diplomacy. You do it through a Middle East peace process. Get Lebanon involved. Get Syria involved. The two-state solution. It's called diplomacy.
Before we take a break, I want to go to Allison King of New England Cable News, who has been sifting through thousands of questions from across the country and New England and here in New Hampshire. Allison, a question, please.
Thank you, Tim. Dozens of cities around the country, including several here, right here in New England, have been designated as sanctuary cities. These are communities that provide a safe haven for illegal immigrants where police are told